My thought was, is there any beer that or any candy that's not going to be put in your guys' beer?
Normally we walk next door to the convenience store and we're like, all right, what's going to be good?
Yeah.
Ooh, good and plenty's.
Locally sourced.
But,
No.
Yeah,
All right, guys, welcome back. Another episode of Hoppy Craftsmen. We packed up the HCPC mobile studio and headed out to Wren House. We're here today. What we got?
I'm Jeff.
I'm Chris.
And we got a couple friends here with us. We got
hey, Drew Poole.
Perfect.
So one of the co-founders of Wren House.
Nice.
Coming up on 2 years. It's a 3-year process getting open, so 5 years in. Yeah, I guess we're going to go more into the story later.
Yeah.
But, I currently have 2 jobs. I work at Intel full time, and then I do this.
Nice.
Got 2 little kids and a wife, house, and 2 dogs, and
Dang.
I don't sleep much. So.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you very much for having us, first of all. We also got Luke here.
Luke Wartendijk, one of the brewers here. I guess there's 2 of us right now.
Nice.
So I've been here for a little while now, but just been having a good time. Brewing cool beers. And
We poached Luke from Angel's Trumpet.
Oh, nice.
yeah, a long time ago, yeah. I
Okay.
was just a home brewer brewing weird Brett beers and showed
One of
up.
our first advocates.
Yeah, I was a huge fan. I showed up with some pretty weird home brews, and Drew loved them, so
That's awesome.
kind of got on board real quick. And
Killer.
So what you're saying is,
Matchmaking happened.
anybody that can do some homebrew, just bring him into
Yeah.
to Drew from Dry.
Yeah.
He'll give you a job.
well,
No.
No.
Yeah, Luke's territorial now. So.
No.
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
Fight to the death.
no one's as innovative as me.
Awesome. So yeah, no, it's Saturday morning. Thanks for having us over here, guys. Just gonna talk some beer and drink some good beer. What's everybody drinking right now? Jeff, what are you drinking?
I am drinking the Renovation Unfiltered IPA.
Nice. I got the peaches and cream because it's awesome.
You got the Who Hit John
Nice.
Imperial Porter. It is that is very good.
Okay.
Good suggestion, guys. Thank
Roasty.
you.
Yeah.
That's roasty. Awesome.
I got this smoothie of a beer, the peaches and cream. It's a
Okay.
good breakfast treat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm drinking Kolsch.
Perfect.
Looks-
So I can have a few.
Luke's drinking out of a mug, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is that
Peaches
a
and cream.
It's a frosted mug.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
It was frosted at one point.
I mean, it's got fruit in it. It's breakfasty.
Yeah,
right.
It's all good.
It's got vitamins.
Nobody knows what time it is. This is like 8 at night, guys. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We're having
Except
fun.
that I just said it was Saturday morning.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Whoops.
Way to go.
Yep.
So what do you got, Nate?
Well, I did. Obviously, we're here to talk to you guys about Wren House. I mean, this is awesome. An awesome Phoenix establishment. You guys said you have 2 years now. What day do you guys hit 2 years?
Monday.
Monday.
Yep.
Okay, and you
I'll
guys
be
gonna be doing some fun stuff for that.
Yeah, so we've got, we kind of have a week of stuff lined up. So Monday we're doing our on-premise seller list. So we've been collecting bottles from all of our releases, and most of them have been like quality control that we set aside a case or 2 just to test them as they age. But now, since we've had, I don't know, we've had like 8 releases.
Yeah, around there,
Around
give or
8.
take.
Yeah.
Maybe
so now
maybe
we
10.
have, we've got a ton of beer in the cooler.
Right.
So we're going to do on-premise bottle list where you can come in, order something off the list, share it with some people in the tap room, or just enjoy it here. So that's
Awesome.
Monday.
Tuesday, not too much going on. The on-premise list will still be live.
And then we have our
We'll be
trivia.
doing a trivia night, just kind of beer related, and
Awesome.
we do a themed trivia about every other week.
Yeah,
So
I
this-
saw that. You guys
Yeah.
were like Breaking Bad.
Breaking
I mean,
Bad,
the Friends. I saw Friends.
Yeah,
Friends.
Friends.
The Office
The
was a
Office.
huge hit.
Oh, I bet.
I'm shooting for Arrested Development soon. I'm a
Nice.
huge fan.
Sweet.
So yeah, this will be kind of down that theme, but we'll be talking about beer and random beer questions, kind of Wren House questions, maybe like
Yeah.
about a beer we made a year ago or something.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and then I think Wednesday is our can release. So our collaboration with Tombstone and Pueblo Vida.
Yeah, the one you guys tried earlier.
Yes, that
That
was.
was phenomenal.
Everybody should be very excited about that.
Yeah,
It should be. So and this podcast should be coming out on Wednesday. So hopefully that
Yeah.
morning they hear it and they'll come here, bang on your door
Yeah,
when you guys open.
we're
so.
gonna move this one up. So.
Perfect.
Right. So
Yeah.
what are the deets on that?
Details, as far as I know.
Yeah. Grain of salt, people. Take it as a
The
grain of
beer itself, it's an 8%, kind of borderline double IPA. Brewed it in the style that kind of us and Tombstone and Pueblo are kind of known for.
Yeah.
Which is the very soft, very hop forward beers.
I was gonna say you said this is one of your biggest hop bills. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
absolutely. We hopped the hell out of it. We added the most Whirlpool hops we've ever added. Just a ton of Citra. Clogged the heat exchanger a little bit, but we pushed through and got all those hops and that tasty wort into the fermenter. And then we gave it a pretty big dry hop of Mosaic lupulin powder and Mosaic pellets.
That's awesome.
And also during the boil, we threw in some honey that Tombstone sourced just outside their brewery. They have a local kind of crazy guy who harvests Africanized like wild beehives.
No kidding.
So they hooked up with him and got some fresh, just squeezed honey through a rudimentary filter and brought it up.
That's awesome.
It was raw honey.
Yeah.
We just dumped it all in the boil, and it kind of adds a really nice, really complex sweetness to the beer, and kind of rounds out those floral citrus hop flavors. It's one of the beers I'm most proud of in kind of my professional brewing career, and we're super excited for it.
Yeah.
So that's Wednesday, and that's probably 16-ounce cans.
Yeah, 4-packs.
First 16-ounce can for Wren House?
For Wren House, yeah.
Nice.
That'll be 500.
About 500, yeah.
There's such a severe lack of 16-ounce cans in the valley, so that's going to be pretty badass.
100% true. Yeah.
And hopefully this becomes like a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some good conversations with the mobile canner and kind of
That's so cool.
a little
Mobile
easier
canner.
to deal with than we expected. So I think it might be something you guys see in the future a lot from us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's going to be that's
So that's
exciting.
Wednesday, and then
Yeah.
Thursday. Thursday we're doing.
So Thursday, if anyone on here happens to be a Saguaro Society member, which is our kind of yearly bottle club, which will be open again in December for more memberships.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about
Yeah, we
that.
definitely want to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll go into that for sure. So this one is a pretty special beer. It's kind of a culmination of the craziest barrel stuff we could do. We got our Who Hit John, which is a base beer we use for barrel aging and blending pretty frequently. We aged a few different batches of that in bourbon barrels, and then we took
every batch of it, right?
Every that's
batch
right.
Made of Who Hit John
is in this beer.
We
So
blended it into a bourbon barrel.
Wow.
And it sat there for a good 2 years.
a long time, yeah.
And then-
On average,
on
probably
average,
a year,
right?
but
because the first batch was in there, second batch, third batch.
it was almost like this makeshift clean Solera technique for barrel aging porters.
Wow.
And then we took that blend and threw it in a really special barrel. It was originally a Buffalo Trace, and then a pretty well-known brewery aged a vanilla bean imperial stout in there. They gave it to Superstition Meadery after that. This is part of that barrel exchange program we were talking about.
Yeah, from Superstition Meadery.
And then they took their berry white mead. They took all 4 versions and made a Grand Cru of them and aged it in this barrel.
Oh, man.
Gave it to us, and then we took that bourbon barrel aged blend of Who Hit John and aged it in that barrel.
Wow.
So
It's
That's-
like a quadruple barreled.
and yeah, the name of the beer is just Who Hit John Grand Cru.
that does sound
awesome.
pretty special.
We all need a minute
I'm
real
pretty
quick.
jealous of
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
going to say.
Jesus.
Pretty jealous now.
Probably one of the most insane barrel aged stouts I've ever had.
It's got a lot going on, right? The mead, like if you guys have had Beeline, our barley wine that we put in some Superstition into Velicus barrels, the honey and the mead definitely pop out.
Yeah.
And they kind of stand on their own in this beer.
Yeah.
So with the Grand Cru, it's pretty interesting. It's got a lot of layers going on, and as it warms, it totally changes.
That vanilla that's soaked in the root and the bourbon and it's great.
Yeah, so that's Thursday, and then Friday is
special tap-ins. So actually, Beeline will be on tap. We have a very limited amount of that, which a lot of people have been excited about.
Yeah, so we've been holding back a few special kegs.
Yeah,
for
Beeline,
the anniversary.
our Superstition collab, Monte Vista Farmhouse Ale will be on
Nice.
tap, which is really nice honey farmhouse.
You guys did another IPA as well, correct?
Yeah, so
Recently, yeah.
that was the one we were telling you about where I kind of came in and brewed on the spot with a beer that was supposed to be a barley wine, but
Right.
so we had this kind of British malt base beer. Kind of wanted to go in more of like a noble, spicy German hop, whereas everyone wants like these crazy, juicy beers right now. Obviously, it's got that soft profile and it happens to be pretty hazy, but that's just the result of the dry hopping and the yeast we use. So it has kind of a cool spice character. We use Laurel lupulin powder.
Okay, wow.
Which is lupulin powder is usually for these like really juicy varietals, these new varietals, but we ended up getting Laurel, which is kind of a new offspring of some old German styles. So it has some cool spice to it and a little floralness. And then we cut that with Centennial for the dry hop too, to give it a little citrus backbone.
And when are you guys releasing that one?
That should be Wednesday.
Okay,
yeah.
awesome.
That's Wednesday as well.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's next week too.
Yeah, that'll just be a draft beer, and as far as I know, we'll be offering crowler fills and
for sure.
yeah.
I'm just thinking I need to take Wednesday off.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Yeah. So Friday is the special tappings of.
Oh, excuse me.
Beeline
That's right,
and that
okay.
sort of-
Yeah, some of the rarest beers we have in our
So
cellar.
all week
Nice.
long, are you guys open normal hours or any special hours because of the tap or holiday or?
Monday we went open a little bit early.
Like, we were talking
just a couple
to-
hours early.
Yeah.
2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most days now we open at noon, so
Right.
Should be the same open time, and
Okay.
Awesome.
we'll
Yeah, it's
keep you
gonna be
guys
exciting.
updated with maybe extended hours if that happens. But
Yeah. Check out the
Yeah,
Instagram
keep
and the
an eye on it.
Facebook, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah, we definitely like to throw parties here since it's sort of got that house feel.
yeah,
So rewinding it back to the barrel aging, because these barrels are traveling all over. I mean, as creators, I get attached to things kind of weirdly. So as creators, do you guys get kind of bummed out when you make a beer like you're making and it's like you're never going to get that beer again? I mean that's one of the
Yeah.
things where it's like it's so good and it's cool that it's so good, but me I'd be like, man, I'm totally bummed out that I'm never going to have this. You're never going to make it again, or you're never going to
sure.
have that exact beer again.
Yeah, I mean for sure. I mean, half of it is the excitement and the experimentation of it. That it's like, hey, let's do this, see if it works, whatever. But now, like with Jeff up at Superstition, we're trying to track down the next Indo barrel or the next whatever, so we can try to recreate some of the ones that we really like
Oh,
these
right.
clubs that we put in the Ramboja barrels.
Yep.
Like we totally want to do that again, but it depends on if Jeff ever makes that meat again, and then
Right.
depending on that meat, it could be a totally different profile. So I mean, the beer's never going to taste the same.
That's very cool, though.
But yeah,
yeah,
it's
and
kind of the fun of it.
it also kind of
Absolutely.
drives us. I mean, me in particular, it drives me to make something better and something that I'm more proud of coming forward. Me and Preston are always trying to blend some cool barrels and always taste something that we haven't tasted before. So
Right.
it's good drive to kind of achieve that unattainable perfect beer.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the silver lining in the whole thing is knowing that you're never going to do that again. You're always going. Competition with yourself is one of the best
Yeah.
things for innovation. You're always going to be trying to beat that or make that, and knowing that you're never going to make that exact beer again. I mean, who knows what you're going to come up with all the different combinations of
Exactly.
like you said, you got a barrel that's been by way of it's had bourbon in it, and then it had this and that and the
Yeah.
other thing, and so you never know what you're going to get. That's kind of
exactly.
cool.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
So actually, they kind of tie off that. You guys posted recently that you're doing the Kit Kat again
Yeah.
and the Joe Max.
Yeah.
And then you're doing was it the maple
Maple stout. Yeah.
maple
Yeah.
stout, right, with lots of
Yeah.
maple syrup. So
Yeah.
That
Like-
sounds awesome. I'm interested
Yeah, I
to
don't
try
know.
that.
I mean, when we got started, it wasn't like we set out to make sweet stouts. It wasn't like a thing. I think when we were doing homebrew batches, like test batches, when we were building our business plan in Preston, like in his backyard, I mean, we were doing mostly. I mean, we did Senior Gallo, we did Huid John, Black Caddis, our porter. So those standard beers, we did that, but we never thought, hey, let's do all this stuff with adjuncts. It
Yeah.
was never like.
right, I mean, so how did that come?
Yeah.
Like, who? Like, you guys sitting around drinking some beers and it's like,
I think so. Some of I guess my background personally, my family's in the restaurant industry, so we always like experimenting with new ingredients, and we're, like focusing on the best ingredients is always like paramount. It's like let's get the best chilies or the best cheese or the best whatever it is to
Awesome.
make really good food. So Preston and I think everybody, it's kind of a collaborative thing at the brewery. We're like, hey, I just had this beer that was like a mole stout or something like an Abraxas. Like, how can we recreate that but put our own spin on it? And then
Right.
we, like, quickly, I jump ahead and I start thinking about sourcing, the best chilies and the best chocolate and the best, whatever. And then, Preston kind of gets annoyed with me sometimes. And he's like, all right, whatever, like, I'll figure it out. So
Yeah.
to me, I didn't
Yeah.
do it.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, it just sort of evolved, and I think half of it too is stuff we like to make, but then what the response has been from the community, right? So
Right.
people really gravitate towards the stronger, sweeter, barrel aged stuff. So it's just always on the top of our mind to keep that going.
Keep one or two on.
Yeah.
So does that in any way like affect your bottom line to the point where it's like maybe that was a bad idea. I'm the same way. I always, if I'm going to make something, I'm always looking for the best possible things to put in that. And so this kind of goes back to the conversations we've been having amongst ourselves and with other brewers in the Valley about, you know, kind of like the sellout thing. And we can get into the sellout thing later, but, you know, do you see buying premium ingredients affecting your bottom line or you know?
Well, at least affecting your product, right? I mean, that's the big thing too.
Exactly.
It's bottom line aside, your product. I mean, is it that big of a difference going from?
Yeah, I mean, so like Bill, my business partner, and I, we kind of approached the brewery from a business mindset. We're like, yeah, we love beer, but you know, should we will we make money? Will the business be profitable if we go open it? And then, you know, you kind of get down the rabbit trail of going and creating beers, and you quickly get lost in, you know, quality ingredients and how much does all this stuff cost? Oh shit, how much are we gonna have to charge for it? Or people are actually gonna buy this bottle that we have to charge, you know, $18, $19, $20 for because
you need to turn a profit.
You know, Madagascar vanilla beans, like, you know, a ton of them that probably overdid it a little bit, or the barrels cost, you know, $300 a piece. And
because you're sitting there, you have this maybe bag of vanilla beans that costs a fortune, and we're like, well, should we add this mathematically calculated amount, or should we just like double that?
Just handfuls, just like through. Yeah,
so it's like it's.
Drag a bean through it.
And then so it's a lot of like me and Preston will do something like that and then like break the news to the guys.
Like me and Bill have like a heart attack. Holy shit.
Like we dry hopped this amount, and they're like, okay.
Like, so
I guess we'll charge a lot.
But I mean, funny enough, like some of our, like people think Senior Gallo, right, our Mexican rice lager, people just assume that it's going to be cheap because it's lager, right? But it takes so long on the back end in the cellar to actually come to fruition that, you know, we calculate like, you know, well, we could have used that tank for 2 other beers in the amount of time that we pushed out a Senior Gallo. So we don't even distribute it anymore because we would lose money on it. If it leaves the premise, we lose money on it because the margin's not high. You know, we can't charge $150 for a keg of it because we'll like break even on it. With distribution costs and whatever. So, you know, we always have that in mind when we make something, but at the end of the day, you know, kind of the flavor and the quality of the beer is the most important. So we will splurge on specialty strains or special ingredients or whatever.
Right. Just stuff we want to drink. I mean, we're all big lager fans, so
that's cool.
Want to brew a lager, we can just come into work and pour ourselves one.
Right.
It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. No. Well, I guess just to turn it back, I mean, like this year, 2 years. You said it was a 3-year journey just to get to doors opening. This building and this brewery is originally going to go by a different name. You can actually check the sign out on the way in. You guys decided to keep that.
Sorry, like middle finger.
You know, and that's a great, and that's, you know, and that kind of leads me, you know. So I guess go ahead and tell me about that. You know, how far into it did you figure out Westward was gone?
So we built. Well, first of all, it took us forever to even like pick a name, and we thought, oh, Westward, that's perfect. Like, there's no other breweries with Westward as a name. Yeah, we'll be good. So we were like a year in because, you know, it took like a year to find a location. It takes that same amount of time to get financing from the bank and all this stuff, right? So we were like a good year in, and all of our business plans were Westward. We printed Westward shirts and hats and whatever.
Made that sign.
Made the sign. And we were going to events and stuff and promoting ourselves as Westward and all this stuff. And it was literally, I swear to God, a week before we opened, we got a cease and desist.
Oh my gosh.
From a distillery in Oregon that has a Westward whiskey. Yeah. And it's funny, I go to Portland a lot. I see them in the airport all the time. And I'm like,
no.
Smash these bottles.
It's not their fault, right? It's our fault.
Yeah,
but,
I guess.
What I learned was, and I probably should have done this research, that any alcoholic beverage falls under the same trademark law. So there could be a winery called Westward or a distillery called Westward or whatever. That means there can't be a brewery called Westward.
Gotcha.
So they basically said, hey, you know, it's our same name. It's going to create confusion in the market. If somebody goes in and sees Westward whiskey and then they see Westward beer, they're going to think it's the same company.
Yeah.
So whatever, we changed really quick, and the reason we came up with the Wren House was, well, first of all, it's a state bird, but my partner Bill went to school on the East Coast. He went to William and Mary, and this famous architect, his last name's Wren, he designed one of the buildings on campus, and it was called, basically it went by the name Wren House. So we thought it was a good fit, all things considered, and we're in a little house, so we just ran with it.
I was gonna say it worked out super well, I think, as far as branding and just all the things you guys have with that stuff on it. Looks really good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so it worked out.
Now, you get 2 years on. Are you guys at peace with who you are as Wren House? Are you glad? Do you think it would have been any different? If you've been any other name?
I mean, I've only known them as Wren House. So,
yeah. No, I think it's when I
it
see
feels
that,
right to me.
Exactly.
I kind of slur a lot or mumble. So when I explain it to people, like when I go meet another brewery, I'm like, "Hey, I'm from Wren House." They're like, "What?"
Yeah.
Really?
Red House?
Yeah.
No.
That's
I have to
funny.
spell it out, but other than that, it's been good.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's awesome.
It's distinctive. We've got our own sort of hand going.
Were there any other major hurdles? I mean, I'm sure there were several hurdles, but seeing as you guys are 2 years in, you've probably seen a lot.
Yeah, the typical stuff that you hear from all the breweries around the valley. I mean, just getting to the point where you're brewing is so difficult. It's, because you have to deal with the state, the county, the city, environmental. So, we probably had, I don't know, more than a dozen inspections. That said, every one, it's like they come tell you to fix something, and then the next time you can get them in, it's like a month later. So I know Richter, the guys that
Right.
they had a rough time, right? And I even sent up the street when they built their canning area.
Yeah.
There was a ton of red tape. So we were at multiple points where we're like, hey, let's shut this down. Let's, write it off. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, go back to the job. Because there was
too much
points where it was like, hey, we're out of money. We're going to have to go raise more money, sell more of our interest in the company or whatever if this stuff doesn't happen. And I think with anything, it's just, we just kept pushing.
Yeah,
and,
stayed persistent.
Didn't take no for an answer, basically, and did the whole... don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Nobody from the city's listening, but it worked out. So.
Yeah.
What's the statute of limitation?
Yeah.
We're way past that. We're fine.
You guys have like a vision for how big it'll get? Do you have an idea?
I don't know. I mean, personally, so the way this got started, Bill and I were talking about building a business together, and it was literally anything under the sun, since he has a mechanical engineering PhD. So, he was like inventing products and stuff that he wanted to go patent. And I would be like the branding marketing guy. And I was always into beer, and I moved up to Portland with Intel for work. And I got to know a lot of the local brewery owners up there. And it never occurred to me, being from Phoenix, that you could be small and profitable. Like I always saw Four Peaks and Santan and all these guys, and you had to be big, right, to make any money or to like be above, be in the black, right? So, talking to those guys, they were like these little neighborhood breweries, and they're 10-barrel systems. They got a little tap room, and they're like, yeah, we're doing fine. Like, all you have to do is focus on your costs and have a successful taproom business. Have your own unique character, make good beer, and whatever. So I had a lot of guys that they literally shared their business plans with us, and about like cost of goods sold and like margins and distribution and so on and so forth. So we're like, oh, that's awesome. And kind of getting to your question, I kind of, one of my role models, I guess, would be Gigantic in Portland.
Okay, yeah, yep.
So they called themselves Gigantic because they didn't want to be gigantic. They're actually small. And, it's kind of oxymoron. But their big thing is being small and profitable. So they're like, we can do our thing. We can be this size, but we can, at the end of the day, we can pay everybody's salary. We can, make a life for ourselves. And, be successful. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And that's my personal vote.
Yeah.
But we're meeting demand. We'll get to the point of adding more fermenters and stuff and see where it goes. But I don't see us in the next 4 Peaks.
Right.
It's not gonna be like a Wren House 2 like anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we always play around with ideas.
Things like that could happen, but
opening a tap room in Scottsdale, or like doing like a farmhouse thing or whatever.
Nice.
Like we're always thinking of new ideas, but it's not like we're gonna sell this place, go buy a warehouse, and like fucking make a shitload of beer.
Yeah. You're not trying to, grow massively and exponentially. With every year, you're trying to double and
Yeah, I
triple.
mean, honestly, like when you get into this stuff, it's like think that far ahead. We're just so like buried in day-to-day stuff that we're like, oh my, like next week we got so much shit going on. It's like,
you can't think past next week.
Think in a year from now or 2 years from now or whatever. It's almost like mind-boggling.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been a lot of just taking it as it comes and growing as we need to.
Totally.
So
For sure. This is actually probably a good time to stop right there for a second and grab a new beer.
Sounds good.
Just to toot our own horn. Oh, sorry. You good? All right, we're back. I fucked it up. All right, we're back. All right,
Typical May fashion. It's all right.
So great.
Yeah. So, we're back. And what are we drinking, Chris?
The NOJO barrel-aged oatmeal stout.
We're getting the VIP treatment right now.
We are.
That's right. That's going to be
Yeah.
on the list.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this will be one of the beers that will be available during anniversary
Monday,
week.
Yep. So
We've
Recently.
only got, I think, 6 more bottles of those in existence.
What? Wow.
Hey.
But
20
it was a 200 bottle release, so we released that with Dojo the same day. They came, in a pack of 2.
Well, we are not worthy, so thank you very much.
No,
Freaking phenomenal.
And we want to share this beer with as many people.
If this actually tastes as good as it smells,
Right,
it's going to
I
be
know it did
phenomenal.
smell really good.
I haven't even done that yet.
Yeah, I mean,
It did
it's
smell really
super
good.
vanilla up front. So the difference, obviously, NOJO, meaning no coffee. So we have Dojo, which is double
Whoa.
Joe Max, double coffee.
That's sweet.
And then this, so it's a sweet stout with vanilla, like a whole shitload of.
A whole lot of vanilla.
Right.
So it's funny. So the boozy smell from it is you can't even taste that when you actually get into it.
Yeah.
Like it's really well
It's
hidden.
really sweet.
This reminds me of that. Remember when Sonoran did that liqueur? It was like they like did some crazy.
Right.
It wasn't really distilled, but it was like this crazy little tiny square bottle of something, and it was like thick. It was decent, but it was nothing.
This is way better.
Yeah, this
that's
is
good.
way better. But it reminds me of that. It's like, is it a beer? Is it a wine? Is it a whiskey? It's fucking good, is what it is.
Little tartness to it too, because
So that's the
absolutely,
thing too, like with all the dark roasted malts, you'll get that as well as the vanilla. A lot of vanilla varietals will have sweetness, tartness.
We experimented with a kind of a paste that's been used a lot for kind of high quality pastry chefs and stuff like that. It's just really true to form vanilla, but it's easy to work with.
It's a blend of like Tahitian and Madagascar.
That's right. So we really overloaded this with vanilla. we had this.
No, you didn't.
You guys want more? We'll give you more.
It's so good.
Just Randall this with some vanilla now.
The goal of this beer was to make a double Joe Max. We wanted to do a double Joe Max. That was our intention. We brewed this big 13% stout. Added a shit ton of vanilla in the kettle, actually. Most of the newer stouts out there right now, they're conditioning cold side on vanilla. I think we picked up some really cool kind of transformations of vanilla flavor doing it hot side and then having that during fermentation. I get crazy vanilla notes that I don't get on cold side vanilla beers.
Yeah.
But anyways, so we had this big vanilla stout, and we threw it in our bottling tank, and we bottled the first half, 200 bottles, and then we worked with Press Coffee Roasters, good friends of ours, super nice guys, some of the best coffee in Arizona. If anyone listening wants coffee, go to Press.
Press it is. Where are they at? I'm sorry.
They have a few locations.
Yeah, the roastery used to be down in Tempe, but I think they moved.
Roasteries in South Phoenix.
Okay.
Tempe, South
But
Phoenix.
they made a concentrated cold brew that we added to the Dojo.
Oh, wow.
It smelled amazing.
And we
Yeah,
added
I
it
bet.
right
Damn.
before bottling, so it would still be there.
So we worked with them close to try and they brought in like 6 or 7 samples. We did some blending.
Awesome.
We figured out what cold brew would complement the stout. And
they,
I think
they make the cold brew we put in regular Joe Max.
which
all
is
the time.
not as concentrated, but this one that we blended in, not with NOJO but with Dojo, was incredibly roasty. It smelled like an imperial stout on its own.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, that's perfect. We'll blend that in, and then we bottled the second half, and that became Dojo, which was the original kind of double Joe Max intention.
Right.
But we got 2 really cool beers out of it, and it's one of our last just bottle releases before we launched the Saguaro Society. So
Killer.
it was got to see the general public, and everyone who wanted some got their hands on it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Yeah.
Drew, as an owner, you have to have seen that I guess there's like a big crisis or shortage of Madagascar vanilla.
Yeah,
Is that something that makes you think like, hey, maybe we're not going to do this year, or you're not going to sacrifice quality to go to something else, and like maybe extracts or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we'll ever use an extract.
No.
Like the paste was cool because it was actually like vanilla beans like ground up. So we were thinking that it would be a more present vanilla flavor, which obviously it is. But like for Olmec, there's some vanilla in that, but we use Mexican vanilla beans. Vanilla's grown basically anywhere along the equator. So yeah, Madagascar's low, but someone else will make up for it.
Tons of other great vanilla out there. Yeah.
Like Tongan is really popular, and I mean you can get it from India. I mean all over the place. Mexican. And they all have their own unique flavors.
Yep.
So like the Tahitian Madagascar, to me, I get a lot of like deep, dark fruit, like kind of taste to
Like
it.
fig. Like
Oh, yeah,
really
definitely,
overripe
definitely.
fig.
Fruits and
Yep.
stuff. So yeah, fun to play around with them.
Well, that's cool. That's awesome.
So actually, back to earlier we were talking about with Kit Kats and stuff. You did a beer with Cadbury eggs as well.
Yeah,
So
that was not the best.
yeah, I'm so. My thought was: is there any beer that or any candy that's not going to be put in your guys'
Well,
beer?
normally we walk next door to the convenience store and we're like, all right, what's gonna be good?
Yeah.
Ooh, good and plenty's.
Locally sourced.
But
No.
yeah, when Luke just got hired and he was kind of learning the back of the house, we put him in charge of casks.
Yeah. A long time ago.
A lot of times
I sent us in this direction of just
just
pastry beers.
Yeah.
So if anybody has a problem with it, they need to talk to Luke.
Luke's-
Right.
Luke's the guy.
Luke just
I'm
starts
the
jamming
one
shit
putting
in the friggin'
chocolate
cask.
donuts in a cask.
Yeah. But
Three-
he also
3 dozen.
came up with peaches and cream in a cask. So that was a cask beer that we turned into
Yep.
production beer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, I mean, they're, like I say, I like them. Peaches
Yeah.
cream was great, and the Kit Kat was good. So
Well, since Luke came up to it, that kind of transitions us a
Yeah.
little bit. We want to talk about you guys' background.
Cool.
Which your Wren House is co-owned by you, Drew, and your Bill,
Yeah.
and you have a brewery you guys met originally,
Preston, yeah.
Preston,
Yep.
and now you came on when?
Let's see. I think October
Okay.
of 2015.
What got you here?
I was getting into homebrewing. Actually, I started homebrewing well before I was legally able to drink.
Nice.
My father was a chemical engineer, and we had a lot of cool kind of water equipment and stuff at home. And he used to homebrew a long time ago. We lived in Colorado. I remember when I was a young kid, I was being dragged around in a stroller at one of the first Great American Beer
Oh, wow.
Festivals.
That's awesome.
So,
That's cool.
I went to
Good
JBF
dad.
as a 4-year-old.
Yeah, good dad.
Let you do that.
I'm 36 and I still haven't been there. So
Back
Right?
then it was like not as big as it
Yeah.
is
Oh, I
at
bet.
all. So yeah, we started homebrewing together, and we brewed maybe one or two like your classic like homebrew style, like an Irish red.
Right.
And it just wasn't piquing my interest. And
Yep.
shortly after that, I was actually in Europe and traveling Brussels, and I knew about craft beer, and I tried sour beers, and I was really kind of drawn towards that. So I ended up in Brussels, and I spent a few days going to Cantillon and Dreifontein
Nice.
and these big gooseries as like a 20-year-old. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
this is a craft that they've been doing for multiple generations, and they do it in kind of with this sense of like whimsical magic. Like, they're sitting there, we put this beer in the cool ship, and we don't know what happens.
Yeah.
You know? We have this spontaneous fermentation and some really tasty beers, and that philosophy of brewing really kind of it was romantic to me, and I wanted to get into it. So when I got home, I started brewing a lot of kind of Brett forward saisons and farmhouse IPAs, and
That's very
and
cool.
really just experimenting, not really reading a lot of brewing books, more like just kind of talking basic chemistry with my dad and
Right.
and figuring out how it works on my own, maybe how they would have a few hundred years ago.
Yeah.
And so that was a cool way to get into it. Just kind of gave me a different point of view. I kind of dialed those in a bit. I was sharing them with some people that were coming into Angel's Trumpet at the time, and people really liked it.
I was gonna say, who like what kind of people do you share it with? Because you have like the Brett in the farmhouse, all that funky stuff that you have someone that's expecting to take a drink of a beer, and they're getting Budweiser, and they get like a real Brett forward.
So it was mainly with like the owners and maybe like sales reps that I was friends with that would come in. I don't think I ever shared with him, but when I was working there, Brian Helton came in a lot before he opened his brewery, and I loved talking to him about what his plans were and stuff. Yeah. And that also fueled some fire. But yeah, I mean, some of those beers weren't really super funky. It was just like a kind of Brett IPA that happened to just be a really good IPA. Yeah. If you like hoppy beers, you would have liked it.
Right.
See Luke on corners like, hey man, you ever tasted a horse blanket? check this out.
I'm very anti that.
Well, yeah, like I'm super. I'm like a Phantom. Like I don't know. I'm obsessed with it. My wife doesn't know why I do it because when I get them, like if you guys drink Phantom, it's like bottle to bottle. It's going to be totally different experience, and a lot of bottles are like undrinkable.
Yeah.
Now, Phantom, even me, I'm like trying to like suffer through it, and I can't. But like, tasting Luke's stuff, I'm like, oh man, he's on something.
Yeah.
So
now,
that
Phantom Carriage or Phantom. Actually, excuse me. I was like, I actually hadn't heard that one.
So they're distributed by Shelton Brothers, which
we
used to get them.
All right.
And as of like 2 years ago, you can still find them on Topps liquor store shelves. So that would like be collecting dust in the back of the store.
Great.
So we stopped getting them, so you have to trade for them.
Yeah, Sun Devil should have a ton of them still, probably.
Right?
Sun Devil.
Around.
That's cool. Okay.
That's immediately I thought it's like they had tons of that stuff at Sun Devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was so excited. I brought one. I remember I brought one to Bill and Preston when we were home brewing. Like, oh man, this is like my favorite beer.
And they were like,
wait for you guys to try it. And
gross.
I looked at the beer and like, there's something different about it because it was there. It was called Piss and Lit is one of their beers, and it's like a herbal floral spring beer, I guess, like a spring saison. So it's got like elderflower and a bunch of weird stuff in it that Danny probably doesn't tell anybody. But it was like all sediment, and I'm like, that's weird. It's probably gonna be fine. So I poured it. And it's like literally the whole glass is like sediment, and they're like, "What's wrong with you? Why do you like?" Yeah, this isn't what it's supposed to taste.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I started getting into those, and then Drew liked the stuff and hired me on. I was kind of bartending a bit, and right towards the open, and kind of got on Preston's good side and started working with him. Finicky guy to deal with.
Yeah, it's always like it's almost like Preston being a chef at a restaurant and bringing in somebody new. It's like he has his way of doing things. He's he obviously has a good pedigree. He's earned his stripes.
Absolutely.
So having a new guy come in with a totally different palate and a totally different way of brewing.
Yeah.
It really sent us in this direction where we have like, we're brewing Senior Gallo and we're brewing a Kolsch and a really awesome coffee stout that like I don't think I would ever want to brew if I had my own brewery, or kind of was running a separate thing from Wren House. But they're really good beers, and he worked at Big Sky for a long time, and he has really helped me get into this like production brewing mindset and be able to make clean beers consistently. So I've been super thankful for that, but it's also been fun to kind of put my own twist on beers and be able to brew weird kettle sours and take our IPA kind of game into a new direction.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of our our business mindset is like we want to be constantly evolving, constantly trying new things, and figuring out new beers and new flavors that we can brew.
Yeah.
But yeah, without Preston, we wouldn't be where we are today. Cause,
absolutely.
He's dedicated. He was like crazy, over the top, anal about.
Very focused.
Like cleanliness. Like making sure everything.
I'm not surprised as a head brewer.
Yeah.
So we've been lucky, knock on wood, of not having like infected beers or anything
Never.
like that.
Yeah. Even on this like gravity filler for bottles, like you look at it and be like,
But yeah, the only thing we probably obviously we're not perfect by any means. So we in the back it's like a warehouse for nobody that's seen it. It's like this building that we knocked out a ceiling, and obviously it gets pretty cold in the winter here. So we actually had a problem where we couldn't get tanks warm enough. So they weren't doing a proper diacetyl rest. So we had a couple IPAs kind of right off the bat when we were starting that didn't rest properly and we had to dump them and all that stuff. But it's a constant learning.
But yeah, that was just kind of Preston getting used to this new system and different climate. And, so yeah, we fixed that issue.
So your overall background, really started with homebrew. It worked your way from there, and then
and then being able to have those really weird kind of beers that I want to do, and then be countered with Preston's
that's awesome.
Brewing philosophy. I think we've really come into something special between the two of us.
It's definitely like a marriage.
Yeah,
that's cool. Awesome.
We fight sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes I fear I have to call like a counselor.
Any good relationship has to have a fight.
So it's like a kind of like a hybrid of brewing what you want to drink versus brewing what
absolutely
other people want. I'm sure there's always that balance of what's going to bring people into the brewery versus this kind of stuff you want to make and improve upon.
No, yeah, I totally admit my brewing philosophy is way out there, and a lot of brewers could chastise me for some of the things I say about beer, but I really enjoy being able to confidently come in and brew a clean Kolsch and see that out through fermentation and know that I can have those skill sets as a brewer, thanks to learning from Preston. But yeah, being able to come in and, we have this amount of grain and Preston says, I got computer work to do, so brew something. And
nice.
I did that IPA recently, and being able to do like the last kettle sour Miss Poncho was kind of my baby. And
that was really really good then.
Yeah, it came out really nice.
That was delicious.
We enjoyed that one. That was a clean
I was
kettle sour.
super sour. I was super sad to miss that on blueberries. I was telling Joe when we got here. I saw that picture.
That was cool. Yeah,
it's like
blueberries came through, but
just because the taste of it originally, it just seemed like it would lend itself to blending with that pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
he at least took on the color.
Yeah, from like a business standpoint, we're not kidding ourselves, right? Like Phoenix is new to this, right? Like new to the craft beer thing.
Yeah.
But that said, we get a lot of people from out of state that are very experienced. People moving from California, Vermont, or whatever, where they're like, just craft brewery on every corner. Then they're making top quality stuff.
Yep.
So we've noticed that kind of part of the fun is getting people to expand their horizons of their like beer palate.
Yep.
So, trying new beers, trying sours, like all that stuff. It's new, and when I go out to Tillamook and DeGard, it's funny, they're like an old little farming town of like cows everywhere, right?
Right.
And one of the times I was in there was like a group of older folks that were like traveling around visiting Tillamook for sites and stuff.
Cheese tours.
I was gonna say cheese.
cheese and yogurt.
Yeah, and they were like, "Hey, we want to try some beers." And I remember the bartender was like, "Yeah, well, we do like funky beers. They're all sours.
This was at DeGard.
At DeGard, yeah.
Wow.
And you have these 80-year-old people like sipping beers, and you could tell after the first sip they were like, "Oh my god, I'm drinking vinegar." Or something.
Yeah.
And they got out of there like immediately. They paid the bill and they're like, "See you later."
That's funny.
So Phoenix, we're not like that totally, right? But definitely we've seen, for distribution accounts, we're taking like the standard, Kolsch and renovation and coffee stout, all that stuff. But when people come into the tap room, they always get flights and they're always trying new stuff.
Yeah.
Whether it's a Goza.
Yeah. So the clean kind of distribution beers are a great way to get people in here, and they hear that. Oh my God, Renovation is such a good IPA. Everyone talks about it. Or Joe Max is the great coffee stout in Phoenix. So they come here, and then they happen to have like Miss Poncho or Night on the Sun, which is a
I was going to say
sour.
Your sours have to be getting some traction as far as people coming in. There's been some really good ones now.
Yeah. I think it's been fun. Honestly, when we were ordering the fruit for this blackcurrant sour, I had to really convince that we should do black currants and just do something weird, because they're such a low pH fruit, and it really complements kind of that base beer for a Night on the Sun. Wasn't super sour to begin with.
No.
pH was around 3.6, 3.7, and then we ended up wanting to add fruit to it, of course. So we found black currants, and their pH is like 2 for the puree. So
Yeah.
adding that kind of really sour fruit just made that beer super balanced and
Some tart.
and came into something really great.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been our philosophy with like kettle sours, is just almost winging it, but coming up with some really fun
the
stuff.
Sour thing is kind of fun too. We experiment with like different processes or ways to
I
do
mean,
it,
for Miss
right?
Poncho, like that was kind of in my mind. I wanted to do this hybrid, like kind of juicy hoppy beer, but do it as a kettle sour. So I took like our Whirlpool Hop editions and reduced them significantly. But was doing timed Whirlpool editions. Did a small dry hop on that one, and then used a British ale yeast that we use for a lot of our IPAs. And then used peach and plum, and it came together. It was tart. It was juicy. It was just an absolute great summer beer.
Every time I had that beer, it took me back both because I had had it so far apart, and it was just super good.
Yeah.
It surprised me both times.
Yeah, and the
Same
sour's
here.
nice too because I mean they're obviously not our biggest seller by any means. IPAs
Yeah.
like sell 10 times more
Insane.
than the sours.
Yeah.
So the sours will stay on for a while here at the tap room, which is fine because they hold up really nice, right? They're not a
Right.
healthy beer. The sourness doesn't go away.
Yep.
So yeah, we're happy to always have a couple on because it's out
Yeah.
the tap room.
Absolutely.
So we talked a little bit about Luke's background. I think we got a question for Drew here. As far as where you came.
Yeah, we're all three IT guys. So
Yeah.
Okay.
how do you go from being like an IT Intel guy in Oregon to like you're still kind of an IT Arizona beer guy?
Well, I don't pretend. So I'm not like I don't know. It's hard. I guess I'm a tech guy by default because I'm at Intel. But
Right.
I've been at Intel for 7 years. But so my undergrad I actually studied like biology, chemistry, that sort of stuff, and then I went to business school at Thunderbird out in Glendale, and yeah, I don't know. I got an internship at Intel. They hired me back, and I was went into marketing, and now I'm in sales. So I run like a partner program at Intel. So it's like a loyalty program, which is fun because that's kind of moved into the Saguaro Society and
Oh wow.
figuring out how do you structure a partner program basically
Right.
for like beer geeks.
Yeah.
So it's fun. We, Bill and I joke all the time. We see each other at lunch at Intel and we talk about beer. And a lot of the stuff that we do on that macro scale at Intel, we kind of test out on our micro scale here at the brewery. So it's kind of fun.
That's awesome.
Yep.
What's kind of funny is that we're all IT people, so we talk about beer. I mean, that's literally how this podcast kind of started. Is that we literally talk about beer whenever we get together. It's the
Yeah.
same kind of thing. Is there's times we don't talk, and then we sit down and that's all we talk about is beer.
Yeah.
So we kind of record it.
Bill and I try to hide it at work. We don't
Yeah.
tell anybody.
Not a lot of people at work know you got you and Bill own a brewery.
They find out.
I was gonna
It's
say.
I have people coming by my cubicle like every day. They're like,
Yeah.
Man, can I get one of those Saguaro Society buses?
No.
I swear to God, I'd be like,
No.
Wow.
I have a friend. She's like, at Intel. She's like, so can you bring me by some like crowlers of like? I'm like,
Really?
like on demand. Yeah, people are like putting in
Oh,
orders
wow.
for me.
That's.
But-
I think one of the biggest parts that I take away from that is it's awesome that you like keep your day job, but you kind of like made something like this happen. Like
'Cause
that's pretty incredible.
He's Superman. Is that what-
Well, no. So
Secret identity.
I'm gonna admit that I've been probably pretty rough as a manager for our employees because we've had a lot of good people that have worked here that I've probably pissed off because it's hard because Bill and I are gone all the time and I travel
Yeah.
a lot for work, so I'm like managing over text message kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
like, and stuff, gets lost in translation and whatever. So it's like little things can blow up and
Yeah.
and whatever. So that part is really challenging. So I try to be here when I can.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. We try to find people that are comfortable with little to no supervision.
Yeah.
can sort of come in and do their thing. But yeah, I mean,
Self-motivating.
yeah. And at Intel, when people find out, it's I kind of just spin it as that's kind of like a passion project.
Yeah.
Holy shit, you own a brewery?
And yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. I mean, that's pretty damn cool. So,
Yeah. I don't know. It hasn't bit me yet, so more knock on wood. Yeah.
is the dream ever to take it full time to leave Intel behind and do beer?
Bill and I were looking at our financials over the last couple of years of the brewery, and we were talking to ourselves, to each other. you know, it'd be crazy if we were pulling a salary from this place because we'd be
Yeah.
closed. Because it's
Yeah.
not like I demand,
Exactly.
like a huge salary or anything, but it's like I think we recently just got to the point where we're making money.
Right.
We're like making money where we can like go buy ingredients without having to worry about it.
Yeah, not
And which is,
pulling
like,
a big salary.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if we were pulling our salary, I mean, shit, we would be. I mean, either our scale would be much smaller, we'd have way fewer employees, and we'd be like struggling to get by. But yeah, I mean, it's a trade-off. So, you know, Bill and I, as part of keeping our loan, it was like contingent on, you know, the bank was like, well, you got to keep your jobs.
Yeah.
You can't leave Intel because it will jeopardize the brewery.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's tough burning the candle at both ends.
So you'd love to, but right now it's not something you guys
It's
are
not feasible.
feasible to do.
Right.
So kind of going back there a little bit, you actually mentioned the Saguaro Society. Is that something? How does somebody actually get into that? You said bring it back in December, right? So it's coming.
Yeah.
What's it all about? Like,
So the first year we did it is we offered 100 memberships. We were talking about it for a while and ended up kind of putting it together and creating something that we thought that people wanted, which obviously they did. And
Yeah.
it's hard to find a good middle ground.
Well,
and
there's a lot of big ruffled feathers.
yeah.
You know,
I mean,
everybody loved it.
it's hard to please everyone, but we really wanted.
Not everybody pleasing with the bottle options.
Yeah,
Right,
we were
yeah.
brewing these small batch kind of bottles and kind of single barrel releases, and it's just hard to release those to the general public because there's such a limited amount.
Yeah.
That we wanted a certain group of people who really wanted our beers to be able to buy these, and it's been super successful so far. So it's been a good year, and we're constantly making more, and we'll open that up.
One of the big, I mean, we planned for that for 6+ months before we actually started it. And one of the things that we were sort of confused about, the liquor laws in Arizona are very gray. There's a lot of gray area. But we were under the impression that we couldn't pre-sell bottles. So, you know, when we started this club, we're like, you know, how do we make it valuable to, you know, the guy that's buying the membership
Right.
when he's not getting any bottles included in the membership? So, you know, we looked at other memberships around the country and try to find one that we thought would be good here, that would make sense. So I think so far people have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of people ask to, you know, be on the wait list for next year. But
Is there a wait list for next year? Because if so, we need to talk. Yeah.
well, you have 3 people that want to be on the wait list for next year for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, that's cool.
we can get on
Did
there
it sell
somehow.
out last time? I mean, is it a quick sellout for you guys when it goes up on your?
we sold out, I think, the day of. But,
Yeah.
it took, you know, a good 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
So we,
Well, that's
we try to keep the cost low. So I think it was like $150 or something.
Yeah.
You got a lot of stuff.
I was gonna say $150. You got
Well, you get access to all
was
the
gonna say.
limited beers like Beeline and all that stuff that don't see public release.
right, which
And
is
they get a
big.
discount on, you know, merch and crowlers and all
Draft
that
beer.
stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And one of the things that, you know, there's always growing pains, right? One of the things that we didn't really plan on doing was canning, like the IPAs
Yeah.
and stuff. So, you know, we get fairly enough. You know, we get members that are asking, hey, do we get, you know, anything for being a member? Like, can I get more bottle or more cans, or do I get early access or whatever it is? So
Yeah. So much.
it's trying to, you know, keep everybody happy while also keeping it fair to the public.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Because you guys are very local. You're very much
Right,
about the
yeah,
community
we
you
don't
have.
wanna piss off anybody
Yeah.
because we're, you know, like not letting public people have the same access to.
Absolutely.
Sure, bottles.
And I like your guys' limits. I think, you know, the way you guys do that's pretty smart.
Yep.
You know, no case limits on 500
Yeah.
cans or something silly.
Personally, I'd rather keep the limits low so more people can get it.
Absolutely.
Versus doing super high limits and 50 people get it.
Right.
I thought 2 cans is perfect. So yeah, that's
So
awesome.
are you guys raising the limit on the number of members for next year, or is it still going to be 100? Or
I don't know. So that was one of the things that I talked to, you know, I don't want to keep name dropping, but the Tillamook people, they had a membership society.
for the
They
cheese?
doubled-
The
and
cheese
they-
has a membership society?
Yeah, and they
Wow.
doubled it.
wow.
So to guard, they had one that was small, it was like 100 people, and then the next year, I think they actually like quadrupled it. They went to like 400 or 500 members.
Oh wow.
And they said
No
it was
kidding.
like a nightmare.
Oh,
because
really?
It was like all of a sudden they went from this little small knit community where they knew everybody to this big group of now everybody, you know, a lot of mouths to feed, right? Everybody's
Yeah.
complaining about something, and they were like, you know, it really was a drain on their like
Yeah.
them personally because it was just so much to manage. And
Motivate you to keep it low.
so they just got rid of it. So they
Yeah.
didn't
Oh,
have it
really?
anymore.
Oh, okay.
wow.
Yeah.
They were like, fuck it. Like,
Bitch enough, it's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
I don't think we're going to get huge. Maybe we'll add 50 spots. Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's
Nice.
cool.
47.
Yeah, absolutely.
42. Yeah, 47. Yeah, good call. There's going to be 47 spots available, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, we're gonna we'll take another quick break here real quick,
Cool.
and
Yeah, let's
then we'll come
refresh.
back.
Perfect.
Which one's that?
You guys posted a picture. It looks like
Oh, a
friggin'
long time ago.
looks like
yeah,
friggin'
that's,
chocolate milk.
Sitting in
the
rum
thing is, like,
rum
some of them,
barrels.
They take like a year. So
Really?
it's like we'll post and then we're like, oh shit, yeah.
Here it is.
On the
Hey,
rack.
look what I found.
I think we put that in a rum barrel.
Yeah, we got
Oh
a
my
rum barrel.
God.
I'll ask a little bit.
Coconut and rum. Yeah, well, we're already recording, so
Yeah. Okay. All right.
we're back,
Well,
guys.
Perfect.
Weird.
Perfect. All right. Yeah.
Well, this is awkward.
So yeah, we had a question about a coconut stout, Jeff. Yeah.
During the break, we were checking out your Instagram, and we saw this super gnarly, amazing looking, like melted chocolate looking
Yes.
Yeah.
stout with all this coconut.
So
Coconut,
that-
cinnamon.
Nicer. Yeah.
What's that about?
That was
Go.
we took that picture on the brew day itself.
Oh wow.
So our stouts take some good amount of time. We really liked them to just kind of mellow out in the stainless tanks. We don't rush them by any means. We took that picture. We had intentions of barrel aging that beer. We sourced some really cool rum barrels. This is a company called Rocky Mountain Barrel Company. Is that what they're called?
Yep.
They're kind of barrel brokers, and they
Okay.
travel the world, the country, source some really cool barrels. They were in the Dominican Republic right as I messaged him like that week, asking what kind of barrels he has. And they were getting freshly emptied Dominican Republic
Wow.
rum barrels. And kind of a lot of brewers will say, oh, don't get rum barrels. They suck. No one takes care of them. But these guys were shipping them. They had someone from the company there inspecting every single barrel, and they shipped the barrels with like a gallon of fresh rum in them.
Wow.
Just to keep
Nice.
them hydrated and,
Yeah.
and no leaks. One of the barrels was from like 72, and it was like
Wow.
a Scotch barrel for a few decades, and then the rum makers
That's cool.
aged rum in that for a while.
That's cool.
We're saving that one still. It's not filled yet,
Yeah.
but
It's anniversary 3.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
That's a
the
special
the
barrel.
thing becomes like an obsession.
yeah,
It's
it's like
It's
collecting.
like I was gonna say, it's like a collection.
yeah,
like a hoarder.
Yeah.
You have all these barrels. Like same thing with the apple brandy. I was hey, tried like an apple brandy beer.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap, we got to do something like that. So same Rocky Mountain Barrel Company. I messaged them like, got any apple brandy? And they're like, no, we're all out, whatever. And then a week later, he was like, hey, Figueroa Mountain doesn't need like 2 of their barrels, so we got them. And those normally go for like $600-$700.
Yeah.
a pop.
Wow.
So I mean, it's crazy. So
Yeah.
that's
we threw a 16% who hit John in one. It's just chilling right
Wow.
now. It's
Jeez, that's cool.
yeah. But I mean, it's crazy how much it changes because it'll pull a nail on it every month or so, and one month it'll taste like rotten apples, and then
Yeah.
next month you'll be like, holy shit, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, what just happened?
So there's 12 different directions to go with a beer like that. You can blend it with a bourbon beer. You can
Right.
set it in another barrel after aging it in a certain barrel.
Yeah.
There's barrel aging's crazy. There's a lot of stuff to do.
So you don't know when that one will be ready to
So
go.
the coconut stout, it's gonna take some time.
Yeah. When it's ready.
Honestly, we added a ton of cinnamon, so we're just kind of letting it mellow out a bit,
Nice.
and we really want those flavors to meld into something special that kind of has that Wren House
as part of,
flavor.
like the Saguaro Society, we gave people an idea of what beers would be released. but
Yeah.
It's all subject to change because we have no idea if something's tasting amazing, we'll bottle it like the Grand Cru.
Yeah.
We're like, wow, this is good right now. We don't want to risk it sitting in there for 3 more months and then something happens to it, picks up a bug or whatever,
Right.
and it goes bad, and you're like, shit, I should have bottled that 3
Yeah,
months ago.
would have been perfect.
Yeah.
So it's this kind of waiting game.
Have you guys ever done a sour in your Saguaro?
Not in the Saguaro Society.
Okay.
When we first opened, before I was here, we ended up just filling a random barrel, and I think Drew was really pushing Preston at the time to kind of start experimenting with that. So we pitched a bunch of Brett into this old barrel
Nice.
with our lager base, and then we ended up kind of just forgetting about it. And
It's sort of our bastard child.
Yeah.
Part of the brewery.
It's like in the corner. No one knows where it is. Like if I told you, you couldn't find it. But it's
May dust that off someday.
yeah. Well, we've been tasting it lately. It's tasting really good. So
Yeah.
we might end up doing something with that. But
We're just kinda
short
freaked
answer,
out.
no, not really.
Yeah, we're freaked out about introducing that bacteria to our
Right.
non-bacteria.
Right. That's a serious
So
concern.
it's honestly like we'll sit there for a day and be like, "Whoa, we should bottle this. How are we going to do it?"
Yeah.
And then we get distracted and we're doing other stuff, and then 2 weeks later, oh, we should bottle this. How are we going to do it? And it's just
I mean, basically, you just need a new setup. You need
Yeah.
a dedicated bottling system,
Yeah.
dedicated tank,
Which is a
dedicated
lot.
hoses, whatever. So we just never kind of bit the bullet.
But I mean,
Right.
confidently based off of that, if we wanted to go that direction, we could make
could.
some pretty killer sours.
Yeah, I think we're just happy with like our kettle sours right now.
Yeah.
That, they kind of fulfill that desire to have a sour.
Yeah.
Your niche
But
that you're
yeah,
looking to get.
down the line, we want to do something bigger with sours.
Some French oak stuff or
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Some mixed fermentation, weird stuff.
beautiful.
Awesome.
So collaboration wise, we talked earlier. You did the collab with Tombstone and Pueblo Vida.
Yeah.
Future plans for collabs with people, or is it somebody you would actually love to go out and actually brew a beer with, or?
Yeah, I think now that we're kind of coming into our own groove, we've been able to take some more time and think about who we want to work with and kind of pursue some relationships with people we respect in the industry, which has been going pretty well.
Yeah, I mean we're still like the new guy on the block. Nobody really knows about us because
Yeah.
we're Arizona.
Been
and
playing
nobody
it slow, yeah.
cares,
Yeah.
For the most extent, because we don't have good distribution out of state and whatever.
Yeah.
So we try to trade, or when we travel, we'll share beers with other brewers we meet and stuff. So we've
Right.
got a fun one coming up in California this summer.
Yeah.
With Tioga Sequoia. So they're
Okay.
like,
Mhm.
a lot of people aren't familiar with them because they're from kind of Central California, but they do some really fun big beers.
If you listen to The Perfect Pour, you're definitely very familiar with them.
Right. Yeah, no,
Okay.
they're cool guys. So I actually traded with him a lot. I think
cool.
we met because I was in search of his beers, and I'm like, I wanted all of them, and I was
Yeah.
trading like Wren House beers, and he's like, hey, I want Wren House, and it ended up being the owner of the brewery.
Oh wow, there you go.
So we
What are the
started-
chances,
we started
right?
This like pen pal thing. We're like, hey,
And
man,
Drew's
I
like,
got
you
it."
need Wren House? I know a guy.
Yeah, I'm always that secret guy on Reddit. And I'm like, Wren House, I got you. And
I can take care of that.
over the course of the relationship, I'll be like, yeah, by the way, one of the owners. So I'll
Yeah.
just like send him stuff.
Yeah.
We brewed that.
But yeah, so that one we're really excited about. And then some of the other ones are still kind of early on. But we do a lot of stuff with Superstition.
Yeah.
So they're great. So
Yeah,
we'll give them
Chateau Tumbleweed
variables.
is a winery we work with up in
Okay.
Clarkdale.
Nice.
New winery. The winemaker came from Page Springs,
Okay.
so he's got some good experience, and honestly, he's making some of the best wine
Page
I've had
Springs,
out of Arizona.
Been there, it's rocks.
So Chateau Tumbleweed. They have this really nice acidity to their wines, great flavor. And they're super nice people. They've hooked us up with some barrels.
Yeah,
and,
It's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, so
Add
some
collection.
grapes. Yeah.
Our goal is to do some bigger ones, like with some well-known people out of state, but it's a it's a long process.
Yeah.
You don't want to jump the gun and be like, hey, let's
Yeah.
You want to see too eager, right?
Yeah, pretty methodical about who we want to work with and why
Nice.
we want to work with them.
Well, yeah, and it's more they probably look at us and they're like, why do I want to do something
Yeah.
for these guys?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, absolutely. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I guess, this is a beer podcast. So, big thing about craft beer is, big beer likes to buy it, at least lately. Right. So, I mean, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. And, just speaking with you, I kind of pick up your guys' vibes anyway. I mean, I kind of get it. But, what do you guys feel about, Wicked Weed, places like that? What do you think as brewers, as people who do this stuff? What do you think when you get that kind of news?
I mean, we probably have different. I don't know. We probably share an opinion that I'm kind of on the fence because I'm a business guy, right?
Exactly.
So I went to business school.
Right.
I work at a large corporation, and it's one side of me says acquisitions are part of capitalism. It's part of being an American. It's part
Right.
of you grow big and somebody wants to buy you. If you don't want to sell, you don't have to sell. But
Yeah.
if you can sell, then great.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
set for life. Whatever.
Exactly.
And then another side of me is like the craft,
Yeah.
passionate, like fuck you.
Yeah.
Get out of here, AB and Bev. Like pour out some Budweiser on the floor. it's hard to say until you're in that position.
Absolutely.
But that's a great thing. They put themselves in that position and they did what they wanted to do, and the general public is going to have their own opinion about that.
Yeah.
And it could affect their sales. It probably won't. I mean, they're probably going to do well.
And I'm probably pretty vocal about it online and whatever. Where I'm like, if Wicked Weed sells out, they sold out. I'm probably not going to be in search of their beers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go out of my way to get their stuff.
Absolutely.
I can have other great stuff locally or from anywhere else, right?
So it's important to have your moral grounding about how you feel about your industry and
where you
want
to put your money.
And it's disappointing to see a brewery sell out, but bottom line, it's a business.
And Sam from Dogfish and all these other guys, like they have very legitimate reasons to not like AB. I mean, they are on a war against craft beer.
And look at those guys. You can be super successful and not get bought out. Even on a small scale, like I know myself and a lot of other brewers are pretty confident they can make just as good or better beer than these breweries that gets bought out.
Oh yeah.
So there's really not too much risk of them like really going under. I mean, you can get into details about some shady stuff they're doing on the kind of the packaging, the distribution standpoint, but
I guess what it comes down to is like, as an owner, they probably just get to a point where they're tired and they're like, I want to go do other stuff. And
absolutely.
Sell it and
it's really hard to argue with that kind of mentality too. If you're putting all your heart and soul into something and somebody thinks you did such a great job that they want to pay you a bunch of money to own it. Oh, okay.
It's obviously nothing. Like again, we're thinking of like tomorrow. Or
right.
Like Monday,
exactly. And that's exactly what I thought of when I went into these questions. I was like, well, it kind of gave me what I was looking for anyway. Yeah. But I still wanted to see what you guys thought of it.
Yeah. Hypothetically, 10 years from now, for whatever reason they approach us, I don't even know what I would say. Like it might be a straight up no. Like go fuck yourself. I'm okay. I'm still at Intel, and this is like a thing that we're supporting. The local community, because that's part of it too, where Wicked Weed got blown up, their Funkatorium
canceled.
Thing got canceled, right?
Yep.
And it was for
so many pulled out,
and a lot of people had reasonable, they were like, well, have AB write them a check, like fuck, they got deep pockets.
Yep,
right?
Exactly.
But we're super involved local community. We do stuff with Boys and Girls Club and Phoenix Children's Hospital, and you name it, right? We're giving away beer all the time. So that would obviously get affected if we got bought out, right? Or something, hypothetically. So you lose that community attachment for sure.
Right.
You become something else.
Exactly.
So the Four Peak guys, they made their decision and they have their reasons and whatever. It's fine. I'm not going to go out of my way if I at a bar and there's a Kilt Lifter and then there's a Dragoon IPA. I'll probably get the Dragoon.
Yeah.
So funny. My other question was, if you want to do another collab, would it be with Four Peaks or us? Would be the question.
Well, obviously you guys.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's perfect.
Perfect. We'll set that up.
It's still at the end of the day, the money is going, or at least some of the money is going to a corporation that is against the craft industry.
Right. And I think
vote with your dollar.
I don't think there's been a
Vote
single
with your dollars.
acquisition that has really surprised me. I mean,
Wicked Weed took a lot of people back. And maybe 10 Barrel. 10 Barrel seemed to bother people.
Multi-millionaires to start with.
Yeah, but that comes out, and then
had a
everyone in the
headquarters.
business you talk to, they're like, yeah, those guys built to sell.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a lot, and I think the overarching theme here is like, put in the same shoes as the owners of Four Peaks. If someone came to you and it's like, hey, $500 million, how crazy would you be to turn that down? And I don't blame them. I don't fault them. I'm not sitting here saying that if I was in the same position I would do any different. But again, I feel better supporting the Wren Houses, the Helio Basins, the Wildernesses, because once you become big beer, then why do you need my money?
Yeah, and to me, it's more about the thing with Wicked Weed. It's more about the character, right? It's like, I think the Jackie O guy, I don't know him, but his comment was, yeah, those guys always rubbed me the wrong way. Like, the one guy from Wicked Weed never remembered my name. Every time he met me, he was like, hey, I'm a big fan of your beers. And he's like, bro, I met you like 10 times. Like, what the fuck? So, stuff like that makes it easier to, like, be like, hey, screw you guys.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
It's different for everybody.
Well, we appreciate your, honest answers and that stuff, and thanks for having us for all these delicious beers.
Definitely.
We are getting ready to wrap up here. We don't want to affect your business too much here.
But at that point,
bring it around.
Let's talk. So people want to find out about your second anniversary. They go on Facebook or Instagram. They can find that stuff out, right?
Absolutely.
As well.
We have our calendar of events up there.
Yeah, Facebook would be a good place
Pretty much
to check.
any day of next week you show up, there's going to be something good going on.
Yeah, something special going on next week at Wren House all day.
Excellent.
And this comes out Wednesday, right? So
This will come out
there'll
Wednesday.
Be a can release.
So
All things go well.
it'll be released Wednesday morning.
You guys usually do that like noon, right? You do your noon release?
We try to do it in the morning because it's so hot outside.
Are you guys? Okay.
Well,
we don't like people to
exactly.
So as soon as they hear this podcast, just I should put a preface at the very beginning.
You're probably late.
It's so hot.
Sorry guys.
Luckily, you can listen to podcasts on your phone, in your car.
While
Don't
you
stop listening.
Yeah.
Just listen on the way.
Yeah, it'll probably end up being like peaches and cream, where we'll sell it in the tap room out of the cooler kind of thing.
Did you guys get a long line for peaches and cream when it was announced?
Yeah, I mean, it was going, around the liquor store,
No shit.
around the corner.
Wow. Did it sell out in that line?
It didn't, because
Okay.
we reduced our allocations pretty significantly. We're
Good.
doing 2 cans per person.
I know,
we used to do
and I love
4.
that.
Right.
I love
Yeah, so
that.
it lasted till 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
I love that.
But
Good on you guys.
numbers-wise, if it was 3 per person or 4 per person, we would have sold out in an hour.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
that line, yeah.
We
We've,
had,
Wow.
because we had 500 cans, so we only needed, if we did,
Yeah.
4 per person.
Yeah.
100.
Not good at math.
A little over 125. Yeah.
So that's not much.
Oh my God.
It isn't. No. So
Nate did math
I
already.
know, and I did it well. So
yeah,
no.
definitely a big thank you to everyone who wants to come out and
Yeah.
drink those beers. It's
It
really
surprises
cool.
us every time. I mean, we're not in this to make money. We want a profitable business, so we're around,
Right.
so we can keep the lights on and we
Well,
can pay our
yeah.
employees. But it's the support. I mean, it's every month is a challenge, so it's
Yeah.
always good to have people show up and support.
Just
I'm not-
a cool relationship of
I'm not
wanting to make
surprised.
good beers.
I mean, you guys are. It's probably. I mean, in my opinion, it's one of the hottest breweries in the valley. I mean, right now. I mean, you guys are doing killer cans. I mean, you're
Appreciate
putting
that.
good beer in that can.
Right.
So I mean, it's well, you mean it's one thing. I mean, can releases just get big anyway, right?
Right.
But it's one thing
Yeah.
to be putting an awesome beer inside that can. So
Yeah, no, I mean it's a super exciting time in Arizona. There's a lot of good beer going on. I mean,
Yeah.
For sure.
Tombstone's great. Pueblo Vida. I mean, you can name a short list of 10 guys or more. that
Yeah.
are really knocking out some really
absolutely.
Yeah, it was super cool to learn from Tombstone and Pueblo Vida and share information and
I bet.
kind of just see how we all do things differently and culminate that into a just fucking delicious
Yeah,
IPA.
an exciting industry.
time to live in Arizona.
Yeah, it is. It's an exciting time. So, no,
All right, guys,
this
well-
has been a good episode. So, thank you guys for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. So as always, I'm Chris.
Yeah, I'm Nate.
Jeff?
And
Drew,
yeah.
Wren House,
Yeah.
Luke.
This is Luke.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Thanks,
really
guys.
appreciate it. All right, bye.
Thanks, guys.